What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Crosby, and if you're new here, I make videos all about travel, digital nomadism, and how to work from anywhere in the world. So for the last 2 weeks, I have spent all of my time living, working, and traveling through Puerto Escondido and Oaxaca, Mexico. Guys, I'm in love with this place. It's the dreamiest Mexican beach town with so many amazing places to eat, surf, meet people from all over the world. I've absolutely had such an incredible time and 100% need to return because I feel like everyone that comes here just gets stuck here. You just don't want to leave. It's that amazing. But I did want to make this video to show you guys what the cost of living is like here in Puerto Escondido. I didn't really have like a strict budget going into this trip because the prices here in Mexico are a lot less than what I'm used to in the US. I do earn USD online, so just keep that in mind. And basically what I did to document everything that I spent is I broke up my spending into 4 different categories: accommodation, food and drink, extras, and luxury spending items. I'm going to go through each of those in depth, talk about how much I spent in each segment, what I spent them on, and then at the very end of the video, we will have a grand total. So stay tuned for that. Now, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and let's jump into everything I spent this week. I can't speak for other parts of Mexico, but in Puerto Escondido, cash is definitely preferred over card, and oftentimes it's the only option. So make sure you are going to the ATM right when you get there and pull out a decent amount of cash and have enough on you to last you, throughout the day. The conversion rate here is $1 equals about 21 Mexican pesos. And like I mentioned earlier, make sure you always have cash on you, even when you arrive in Puerto Escondido. So if you fly in, you're gonna fly into like a really tiny airport. It has one ATM, and when I got there, that ATM was not working. I did not think ahead. I didn't have cash on me, so I took a cab and he drove me to a bank, and I had to pull out cash and pay him. So I had to pay him like way more than I would have if I had cash on me already. So keep that in mind. If you're flying in from Mexico City, pull out cash there first, and then yeah, you'll be good to go when you get to Puerto. Most of the ATMs in Puerto Escondido are in Rinconada, at least from my experience. That's where I pretty much always pulled out cash. In La Punta, I know that there is like 1 or 2, but a lot of times they're out of cash. In general, La Punta and Zicatel are kind of, the infrastructure isn't as good as they are in Centro and Rinconada. So yeah, if you're in like the Rinconada area, go to Banco Santander. That's a really good bank. And then there's ATMs like in kind of the shopping areas, in some of the supermarkets. So yeah, pull out cash in those spots before. Okay, now on to what I spent. Let's start with accommodation and internet. There are 5 main areas to stay in when you come to Puerto Escondido: Rinconada, Centro, Tamarindo, Zicatela, and La Punta. We will talk more about all of these neighborhoods in depth next week in my digital nomad guide to Puerto Escondido that I have been planning this whole time, and I am so excited to put that out. I personally stayed in the Rinconada neighborhood, which I absolutely loved. I stayed at a co-living space called Casa Los Odeli through Cowork Surf. I'm not kidding you guys, I scoured Puerto Escondido for the best place to stay that had really good, reliable, fast internet, nice amenities, food, and a good digital nomad community. Casa Los Odeli ticked all those boxes and more. I've been staying in a 4-person female dorm for 2 weeks, and I have literally no complaints. A lot of the times when I stay in dorms and hostels, I'll like have issues sleeping because people are coming in and out. A lot of the times hostels are kind of like a party hub. Casa Los Odeli, one of the reasons why I love it so much is it's very chill. And the reason for that is because a lot of the people staying there, if not the majority, are all digital nomads and remote workers. So especially during the week, we're not staying up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning partying our faces off. We're getting our sleep, we're waking up early, we're being productive, and so it's a really motivating place to work, and I've been getting such good sleep. And you guys are gonna die at the price. I'm still mind blown. For 1 week at Casa Los Odeli in a 4-person female dorm, I paid $86, so 1,800 pesos total for 7 nights. The trick here, and the trick for most hostels, is make sure you're booking through Casa Los Odeli's website itself. Don't go through like Hostel World or Booking.com. Most of the time, if you book directly, you will get a cheaper price. So in this circumstance, actually, if you book through Los Odeli's website, you'll get your 7th night free, at least for the dorms. I'm not totally sure about like the other rooms. But yeah, $86 for a week. I don't even know, what does that come out to per day? 86 divided by 7, like a little over 12 bucks a night. So worth it, and that includes internet. So boom, can't get much better than that. If you can't get a spot at Los Odeli or anywhere in Rinconada, you can also check out La Punta or Zicatela. These are two other neighborhoods that are really popular for remote workers and digital nomads to stay. They're usually a little bit more expensive, and the infrastructure is a little bit less developed than it is in Rinconada. Everything is really open-aired in the sand, and a lot of the times because of this, the electricity will go out or the internet will go out. There was a lot of people, I'll be like working at Los Odeli, and a lot of people will just come in from other parts of town and be like, yeah, I was trying to get on a call and the internet was down or the electricity went out. It happened multiple times. So from my experience, Rinconada and Casa Los Odeli were definitely the reliable spots to go work. But the good part about La Punta and Zicatela is that they are in like a really, really good area, so you won't really be spending much money on transportation unless you're kind of going to a different part of town. And then if you're really on a budget, the cheapest place to stay from my experience was in Centro. Centro definitely has more of a local vibe. Prices there are a lot cheaper overall. There's more like local places to eat, so the prices are just going to be lower because of that. But they are further from the beach and a lot of like the happening spots for digital nomads and travelers, so you know, just keep that in mind. But if you are on like a tight budget, look at some of the hostels in Centro because they'll definitely be a lot cheaper than the ones on the beach. All right, food and drink. How much you spend on food and drinks will totally vary based on how much you eat out, where you eat, and how much you go out and party. So there's a lot of room. If you're more budget focused than I am, you can definitely spend a lot less than I did. If you just kind of want to ball out and eat at some fancy restaurants, you can definitely spend a lot more than I did. So it just totally depends on your preferences. Personally, since I was only there for 2 weeks, I ate out majority of my meals. I did go to the market a few times to pick up some things for like snacks and breakfast at my hostel, but for like dinner, always ate out. So where I was staying again at Casa Los Odeli, there is a cafe on site, which was super, super convenient for when I was just having a really busy work day and I didn't have time to like run out and grab something to eat. I would usually split between eating breakfast at Cafe Los Odeli or something that I had bought at the market. My go-to order at the cafe was an almond milk cappuccino for 35 pesos and the chia bowl for 90, I think. I ate that like multiple mornings that I was there. I would just sit there at my desk, I would have my coffee, I have my chia bowl. It was so yum. Or if I didn't want to order breakfast, I would usually have some homemade granola, almond milk, and sliced bananas that I got at this really cute organic market right around the corner from Casa Los Odeli. It's called Verde Puerto Escondido, and it's this tiny little cafe right on the corner of where like the Rinconada sign is. You really can't miss it. I'm gonna describe this more later in the like grocery store section, but I highly recommend going there. Or you can go to the market in Centro called Mercado Benito Juarez, and then lunch varied by the day. So if I had like a really busy work day, I would usually just go back to Cafe Los Odeli and order the sandwich verde. That was my favorite. It was like a pesto, melted cheese, deliciousness that I would always get. Loved that with like a green juice or a smoothie or an orange juice, and usually that kind of came out between like 120 to 180 pesos. But if I wanted to switch it up and go somewhere else, or if it was the weekend and I was like somewhere in La Punta, I'd try out some new places like Cafe Malagua. I cannot recommend this place enough for like breakfast or lunch. It's so good. It's a little bit more expensive, so here I got the hummus toast and a watermelon juice for 200 pesos. They also have a co-working space upstairs, so I'll talk about that in my next video, the digital nomad guide. But yeah, lunch was kind of all over the place, but usually it ranged from like 140 to 200 pesos. And then dinner. I loved dinner because I took it as like an opportunity to explore a new restaurant in Puerto Escondido. Cafe Los Odeli closes at 3 most days, so if I was feeling like a little lazy, it would still force me to get out of the hostel and go try a new restaurant out. So a lot of the times I would check out a new restaurant in the Rinconada neighborhood, so near my hostel. I would just kind of walk around and find a new place to try. A couple of my favorites in this area were Filomena, which is like an Argentinian place. We had a really good meal there, but I have heard some mixed reviews, so just keep that in mind. I had a lovely time. I spent 300 pesos at Filomena, which was definitely my most expensive dinner, but I got a huge mountain of a salad, some veggie empanadas, and ice cream. So it was a big meal, and that came out to 300 pesos, but usually it was less than that. Another really good spot in Rinconada is El Viejo. It's like a fish taco taco place. Their smoked fish tacos are what they're known for. Highly recommend. But if I was feeling a little bit more adventurous, or it was the weekend and I was in like kind of La Punta, Zicatela area, a couple of my favorite spots were Lychee. It's a Thai place on like the main strip in La Punta. I went there twice. I got their pad Thai and some veggie spring rolls. Really, really good. And I also went to Fish Shack several times, which is an absolute staple in Puerto Escondido. You have to try it out if you're in the area. Their coconut fried shrimp tacos, so good. Oh, and then snacks. Usually I would have snacks in my hostel in like the shared kitchen that I got at the market, but pretty much every night I would always make a point to get to the beach for sunset, and there are a lot of people that will like walk around on the beach selling like homemade snacks, and I am just like a sucker for snacks. I just really can't say no. There was always this woman, I'm forgetting her name, she was so sweet, and she was always selling these frozen like chocolate covered bananas that I always got. I think they were like 30 or 50 pesos, probably 30. There was another guy that sold this delicious vegan banana bread, so good. So yeah, I spent, you know, a few hundred pesos on that as well. And like I said before, food and drinks were my second largest expense, almost tied for first. Total over the course of 7 days, I spent 3,185 pesos, which is about 152 USD total. Now on to segment 3. This I called extras, but it's basically just transportation and groceries. We'll start with transportation. The main way I got around Puerto Escondido was in cabs. For a 10-minute taxi ride from Rinconada to La Punta, it usually was about 70 pesos. From Rinconada to Zicatela, which is about a 7-minute drive, don't pay any more than 50 pesos. A lot of the times they will charge you a little bit more at night, so just keep that in mind. And all of the transportation here is cash only, so make sure you have enough on you. And a tip for making sure you don't get overcharged is before you get in the car, tell them where you're going and then say cuánto cuesta, which means how much, and have them tell you up front how much they're going to charge you, because otherwise they may, like, you may get to your destination and they'll charge you like 100, 120 pesos. However, I would only take cabs if I was like in a pinch. If I had a little extra time, I'd usually like walk out onto the main road and I would look for a colectivo. These are basically just open-aired shared vehicles that you just wave down like a cab. They'll pull over, you hop in the back, it's kind of like a pickup, and you sit there with other people that are, you know, riding somewhere. And when you get close to your final destination, you just ring the bell, they'll stop, you get off, and you pay them 10 pesos. And I only rode on a motorbike like once or twice. It was always on the back of someone else's, but this is like a really popular way for people to get around Puerto Escondido is on motorcycles. I didn't rent one, like I said, but talking to people that have, the average for like a good motorcycle is about 6,000 Mexican pesos a month. You can find some for less, you can find some for more, but just make sure that you aren't compromising quality for a lower price. There are a lot of accidents that happen on motorcycles, so just make sure that you're being smart and you're getting a good quality bike. And when it comes to groceries, this is another really great way to save money. Obviously, if you don't want to eat out every meal like I did. The two spots that I hit up the most were Verde, Puerto Escondido, like I mentioned earlier. It's a really cute, small, like organic market. They have so many things, and this is somewhere where you can go if you're like vegan or vegetarian. They had a lot of really great options there. Of course, they have really good, fresh local produce. They have like fresh bread and baguettes in the morning that you can go and get, but they also have a lot of really good like vegan and vegetarian substitutes. So they have like almond and coconut milk. They have really good organic homemade granola, honey, just a lot of the things that you can't always find at like a random supermarket on the side of the road. And then if you want to check out somewhere with a lot more options and more of like a local vibe, go to Mercado Benito Juarez, which is in Centro, and this is kind of the spot where most locals will go and do their grocery shopping. They have everything here. It is huge. Make sure you bring cash. They do not take card. The other place does take card, just FYI, but this place does not. I loved coming here because it was really fun to practice my Spanish and interact with the locals, and they have more than just food. So I got like my shower shoes here, like my flip-flops that I would use to shower at the hostel. I got my beach towel here. I got an anklet here. Yeah, they have just like a ton of random stuff. So if you just need to go and get, you know, a bunch of random things, this market is definitely your best bet. During this 7-day period, I went to the big market once and the organic market once. So 2 trips to the grocery store, but they were kind of smaller trips. So overall, during a 7-day period on transportation and groceries, I spent a total of 1,094 pesos, which comes out to about 52 US dollars. And now to the final segment that I spent the most money on, and that is luxuries. These luxuries vary widely person to person. So again, this will have a huge impact on how much you spend in a week, how much your overall cost of living will be in Puerto Escondido. But overall, these were the things that I chose to spend my extra money on because they made me happy. They made my trip a lot more enjoyable. So the main things I spent my luxury money on were private surfing classes, workout classes, and shopping. Mostly the first two. The main bulk of this overall price was with my 3 one-on-one surfing classes that I did. I did mine through Blue Beach Surf School. I highly recommend them. They're really professional, really kind. Professional! I had a really fun time surfing with them. For a one-on-one private class with them, it is 700 pesos. They pick you up, drop you off, and it's a 2-hour lesson. So for the 3 classes that I did over this 7-day period, it comes out to 2,100 pesos total. I also went to several workout classes and yoga classes. These were usually on the days that I didn't go surfing. And compared to American prices, I could not get enough of these classes because the instructors are incredible. I went to Casa de Olas for a lot of my yoga classes, and then I went to Paradise Gym for a lot of my actual HIIT, booty or abs focused classes. I loved both of these places so much. And for both of these places, for yoga and workout classes, they usually ranged from 120 to 150 pesos for an hour-long session. In terms of shopping, pretty much everything in Puerto Escondido is a lot cheaper than you'll find in the US or Canada, except for the clothes. So just keep that in mind. I did have a day though where I was just like, I want to treat myself and I want to go into these shops and kind of see what it is. I didn't even know if I was going to buy anything. I knew I wanted a t-shirt, so I did get a t-shirt for 300 pesos, which was the cheapest one that I could find, but I'm obsessed with it. But most of the t-shirts I was looking at were 500 pesos. And then I also got a really cute bikini for 850 pesos for the whole set. So the total amount that I spent on luxury items was 3,400 pesos, which comes out to about 163 USD. So that is everything I spent in Puerto Escondido over the course of 1 week. To recap, I spent 3,400 pesos on luxury items, 3,185 pesos on food and drinks, 1,800 pesos on accommodation, and 1,094 pesos for extras, so transportation and groceries, for a total of 9,479 pesos over the course of 7 days, which comes out to about 459 US dollars. As someone that went on this trip without really budgeting, I know that if I was here for a longer period of time and I was actively trying to budget, I could cut this probably in half extremely easily. So again, totally depends on you and your travel preferences, what you want to spend your money on, and how tight your budget is. You can definitely go one way or the other depending on what your budget is. Additionally, I didn't party hardly at all. This first week I maybe had 2 or 3 drinks maybe. I didn't really participate in the club party scene, but this is a really big part of Puerto Escondido. The nightlife is huge, so I know a lot of people go out at night, probably spend more money on beer or drinks or whatever. So that's another thing. If you do like to go out and party, that's another kind of addition to your overall cost. And if you don't end up surfing, if I didn't surf, that would drop the cost of this week 3,000 pesos or so. And then of course your accommodation has a huge impact on your overall spending. Personally, I am so happy with how much I have spent at Casa Los Sodeli. 86 USD for a week of reliable high-speed internet, a great community, clean amenities, a pool, a place where I could actually sleep, a cafe right next door. I was super happy with everything that Casa Los Sodeli had to offer, so I was really happy with that price. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you have a good idea of what the cost of living can look like if you go to Puerto Escondido. And be sure to comment any questions that you have below, or if you visited Puerto yourself and you have a different experience that you want to share, feel free to drop that in the comments as well to help other future travelers out. Like I mentioned before, my digital nomad guide to Puerto Escondido will be coming out next week, so make sure you subscribe if you're interested in seeing that and hit that notification bell. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!